In the cold silence of deep space, far beyond the reach of human colonies and forgotten by most star charts, a slender silver ship drifted like a leaf on a windless sea. Its surface gleamed with soft pulses of light as if breathing. Inside, Luna sat alone in the command chamber, her fingers resting lightly on the smooth crystal console. She was tall and slender, with skin like pale moonlight and long black hair that fell like a river down her back. Her eyes, deep violet, ancient and calm, watched the endless stars without blinking. Luna was not human. She was elf, though few in this galaxy remembered what that truly meant. Her people had once lived among the rings of gas giants and sung lullabies to newborn stars. But now she was the last princess of the Silver Grove, the last keeper of the starseed, and the last to carry the memory of a world that no longer existed. Curled at her feet were two small dragons. Ember, the red one, flicked his tail lazily, his scales glowing faintly like embers in a dying fire. Frost, the blue one, lay with his chin on his paws, his breath forming tiny swirls of mist that vanished before they touched the floor. They were not ordinary creatures. They had hatched from twin eggs found in the heart of a dying comet, and from the moment they opened their eyes, they had known Luna as their own. They did not speak in words but in feelings. Warmth when she was sad, cool calm when she was afraid. Luna's mission was simple, though heavy: find a new world where the last seed of her homeworld could take root. It was no ordinary seed. It pulsed with soft green light and hummed with a quiet song only she could hear. If planted in the right soil, under the right sky, it would grow into a great tree, a nexus of life that could heal dead planets and bring balance to broken systems. But first she had to survive. The ship shuddered. Luna's head snapped up. Her fingers danced across the console, but no warning lights flashed. Elves did not rely on alarms. They felt danger in the air, in the shift of energy, in the silence that came too suddenly, and now that silence was thick. Outside the viewport, space itself seemed to warp. A shadow bloomed in the distance, huge, jagged, and black as a wound in the sky. It was a warship, massive and brutal, its hull scarred by countless battles. No markings, no signals, just hunger. Before Luna could react, beams of crimson energy shot out from the warship, wrapping around her vessel like chains. Her ship groaned, its silver skin dimming as power was siphoned away. She tried to activate the escape protocol, but the controls went dark. Ember hissed, rising to his feet, wings flared. Frost stood beside him, eyes narrowed, a low growl rumbling in his chest. "Stay close," Luna whispered, her voice steady despite the fear curling in her stomach. The warship pulled her in. Minutes later, the docking bay doors hissed open. Cold metal air rushed in, smelling of oil, sweat, and rust. Luna stepped out barefoot, her silver gown flowing behind her. She held the seed pouch close to her chest. Ember and Frost walked at her sides, their small bodies tense but unafraid. A dozen armed figures surrounded her. Tall, rough-looking humans in mismatched armor. They carried plasma rifles and wore scars like badges. Their eyes were hard but curious. At their center stood a man who seemed both older and younger than the rest. He was broad-shouldered, with short brown hair, and a face lined by years of hard choices. His eyes, however, were different, less greedy, more tired. His name was Kai, though Luna did not know it yet. He was captain of the Iron Sparrow, a salvage vessel turned mercenary ship, and he had seen wonders and horrors across the rim. "Who are you?" Kai asked, his voice low but clear. Luna met his gaze without flinching. "I am Luna of the Silver Grove. These are my companions." Murmurs rippled through the crew. Some laughed. Others gripped their weapons tighter. "Elf," one spat. "That's a fairy tale." "Fairy tales don't fly starships," another muttered. Kai stepped closer. He studied her, the way she stood, the calm in her eyes, the way the two dragons watched him like they could see into his soul. He had heard stories as a boy on Europa, tales of star elves who could bend light and heal broken worlds. He'd thought them myths, but here she was, real and quiet and strange. "What do you want?" he asked. "Nothing," Luna said. "I only wish to pass through." Kai glanced at the silver ship behind her. It was unlike anything he'd ever seen. No engines, no exhaust, just smooth curves and living light. "That ship's worth a fortune. You're worth more." Luna did not argue. She simply waited. His second in command, a woman named Rhea with a cybernetic eye, stepped forward. "Sell her to the Syndicate. They'll pay triple for an elf." "And those lizards? Weaponized breath, natural armor, they're worth their weight in credits." Kai didn't answer right away. He looked at Luna again, and in that moment he saw something he hadn't seen in years. Innocence that wasn't weakness, strength that wasn't cruelty. It reminded him of his little sister, lost during the Mars riots when he was just a boy. She had looked at the stars the same way, like they held answers, not just emptiness. "Lock her up," he said finally. "Keep her safe. No one touches her." Rhea scowled but obeyed. They led Luna to a small cell deep in the ship's belly. It was cold and bare but clean. Ember curled on her lap, radiating warmth. Frost pressed against her back, his cool presence soothing her nerves. That night, alone in the dark, Luna sang. It was not a loud song. It was soft like wind through silver leaves, like water over smooth stones. It carried the memory of her world. The great trees that sang at dawn, the rivers that flowed upward into the sky, the laughter of her people under twin moons. As she sang, Ember's glow brightened, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Frost's breath formed tiny ice crystals that shimmered like stars before melting into the air. The song traveled through the ship's vents, through the metal corridors, into the ears of sleeping crew members. Some woke with tears they couldn't explain. Others felt a strange calm, as if a weight they didn't know they carried had lifted. Kai heard it too. He stood outside her cell for a long time, listening. He didn't understand the words, there were none, but he felt the meaning. It was a song of loss, yes, but also of hope, of something beautiful that refused to die. By morning, he had made his decision. While the crew slept off their shifts, Kai disabled the cell's lock. He stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching Luna stir. "You're free to go," he said. Luna looked up, surprised. "Why, because the galaxy's dark enough," he said. "We don't need to make it darker." She studied him. "You could sell me. Gain wealth, power. I've had both," he said quietly. "They don't fill the quiet." Ember tilted his head. Frost sniffed the air, then walked slowly toward Kai. He stopped just inches from the man's boot and looked up. After a moment, he gave a soft chirp. Kai blinked. "Is he trusting me?" "Frost does not trust easily," Luna said. "If he does, it means something." Kai knelt carefully and held out a hand. Ember watched, ready to strike if needed. But Frost nudged Kai's palm with his snout. Something shifted in the room. Not magic, not technology, but understanding. "Where will you go?" Kai asked. "I don't know," Luna admitted. "I search for a world with clean water, stable sun, and soil that remembers life." Kai thought for a moment. "There's a planet on the outer rim, Viridia, abandoned after the corporate wars. Toxic for a while, but scans say it's healing. Green patches showing up. No one's claimed it." Luna's eyes lit up. "How far?" 3 jumps. "Risky. Syndicate patrols are thick out there." "I must try." Kai hesitated, then nodded. "I'll take you," Luna frowned. "Why would you help me?" He stood, brushing dust from his knees. "Maybe I'm tired of being just a scavenger. Maybe I want to help something grow for once." So it was decided. They left the Iron Sparrow's docking bay under cover of a solar flare. Kai flew while Luna monitored the seed, which now pulsed brighter as if sensing hope. Ember and Frost explored the ship, quickly making themselves at home. Ember warming the engine room when it ran cold, Frost cooling overheated circuits with gentle puffs of breath. As they traveled, Luna and Kai talked. She told him of her world, how trees grew from starlight, how dragons were born from comets, how her people lived in harmony with the universe. He told her of Earth's fall, of the colony's struggles, of losing everything and learning to survive. He learned that elves did not age like humans, that their magic was not spells, but balance, listening to the rhythm of life and helping it flow. She learned that humans, for all their violence, could also be kind, that they dreamed, even when there was nothing left to dream for. On the second jump, they were ambushed. 3 Syndicate interceptors dropped out of warp, weapons hot. Kai cursed, yanking the controls hard to starboard. Plasma bolts seared past the hull. "Hold on," he shouted. Luna closed her eyes. She placed a hand on the console and sang, not a lullaby, but a call. Ember and Frost leapt onto the roof of the cockpit. Ember opened his mouth and released a stream of golden fire that wrapped around the ship like a shield. Frost exhaled a ring of icy mist that bent light, making the Iron Sparrow nearly invisible. The Syndicate ships fired blindly, missing again and again. Kai stared. "What was that balance?" Luna said simply. "Fire to protect, ice to hide." They escaped, damaged but alive. By the time they reached Viridia, the crew of the Iron Sparrow had changed. Rhea no longer sneered. The others brought Luna food, asked about her world. Let the dragon sleep in the mess hall. Something had shifted in them too. Something quiet and good. Viridia was green, just as Kai say. Weeks passed on Viridia, and the silver tree grew taller each day. Its leaves shimmered in the sunlight, casting soft patterns on the ground like living constellations. Roots spread deep into the soil, pulling toxins from the earth and turning them into clean water that bubbled up in clear streams. Animals returned, birds with iridescent wings, deer with fur like moss, even small foxes that blinked at Luna with curious eyes. Luna spent her days tending to the tree, singing to it in the morning and evening. Ember and Frost never left her side. Ember warmed the soil on cold nights while Frost cooled the air during hot afternoons, keeping the balance the young tree needed. Kai watched from a distance at first, unsure of his place in this quiet magic, but Luna always left a space beside her, and slowly he filled it. He helped build a small shelter from fallen branches and salvaged metal from the Iron Sparrow. He dug irrigation channels so the clean water could reach farther. He even learned to listen, not with his ears but with his heart, when Luna spoke of the tree's needs. It was strange, he thought, how peace felt heavier than war sometimes, but it was a good weight. The crew of the Iron Sparrow stayed too. At first they claimed it was just to repair the ship, but days turned to weeks and no one talked about leaving. Rhea set up a garden near the tree, planting seeds she'd carried from a dozen worlds. Others built watchtowers, not for defense, but to watch the stars return to the night sky, brighter now that the air was clean. But peace never lasts long in the outer rim. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Kai spotted movement on the horizon. Not animals. Machines. Sleek, silent drones with red lenses and no markings. They hovered just beyond the tree's glow, scanning, recording. Syndicate, he muttered, gripping his rifle. Luna came to stand beside him. They found us. They always do, Kai said grimly. That night they held a council under the silver leaves. The crew gathered, faces lit by Ember's soft glow. Rhea argued they should fight. Others wanted to flee, but Luna shook her head. The tree cannot be moved, she said. It is rooted in hope. If we run, we teach fear. If we hide, we teach shame. So what do? Kai asked. We show them what this place is, she said. Not a prize to be taken, but a gift to be shared. Kai frowned. They don't understand gifts. Only profit. Then we make them understand, Luna said simply. The next morning, instead of hiding, Luna walked out to meet the drones. Kai followed, unarmed. Ember and Frost flanked her, wings half spread. The drones hovered, unmoving. Then a voice crackled from one of them. Cold, mechanical. Identify yourself. I am Luna of the Silver Grove, she said. This is Viridia. You are welcome to rest, to drink, to heal, but you may not take a pause. Then, the Syndicate claims this world. Surrender the elf and the bio-anomalies. The dragons are not anomalies, Luna said. They are guardians, and I do not belong to anyone. The drones lifted slightly, weapons humming to life. Kai stepped forward. You fire one shot and you'll have more than dragons to deal with. Before the drones could respond, a new sound filled the air, a deep, resonant hum. The silver tree pulsed with light, and from its branches vines shot out, not attacking, but weaving. They formed a wall between the drones and the settlement, not solid but shimmering, alive. The drones fired. The beams struck the vines and vanished, absorbed like rain into thirsty soil. The drones retreated, vanishing over the hills. But everyone knew they would be back, and next time they would bring ships. Days later they did. 3 Syndicate cruisers dropped from the sky like vultures. They landed in a triangle around the tree, blocking escape. Armored soldiers poured out, led by a woman in a black command suit. Her name was Vera, and she was known across the rim as the Iron Hand. Ruthless, brilliant, and utterly loyal to profit. She walked alone to the base of the tree, where Luna waited. Beautiful, Vera said, looking up at the glowing branches. A living power source. Enough energy to run a city for centuries. It is not a power source, Luna said. It is life. Life can be harvested, Vera replied coldly.
Surrender it and your people live.
Resist and I burn this world to ash. Kai stepped forward, but Luna raised a hand. Wait. She looked at Vera, not with anger, but with pity. You are tired, she said softly. Your hands ache from holding weapons. Your heart is dry from giving nothing away. Vera stiffened. No one spoke to her like that. Do not pretend to know me, elf. I do not need to know you, Luna said. I see what you carry. Loneliness, fear, the belief that the universe owes you something. For a moment, Vera's mask slipped. Her eyes flickered just once with something human. But she crushed it fast. Enough talk, choose. Luna closed her eyes. Then she began to sing, not a battle song, not a warning. A lullaby, the tree responded. Its light spread outward in waves, gentle and warm, the air filled with the scent of blooming night flowers. Ember and frost rose into the air, circling above, their breaths mingling. Fire and ice creating a soft mist that drifted toward the syndicate soldiers. One by one, the soldiers lowered their weapons. Not because they were forced, but because they felt something they hadn't in years. Peace. Memories surfaced of mothers singing, of home, of reasons they'd left everything behind. Tears rolled down hardened faces. Vera stood rigid, fists clenched. Stop it, she shouted. But her voice cracked. Luna walked toward her, slow and calm. You do not have to be iron, she said. You can be soil. You can grow. Vera's breath came fast. She looked at her hands, calloused, scarred, empty. Then she looked at the tree, at the crew of the Iron Sparrow watching her not with hate, but with quiet hope. She turned and walked back to her ship. The syndicate left that night, without a shot fired, but Vera did not return to her superiors. Instead, she sent a single message across the rim. Viridia is off limits. Mark it sacred. No one questioned her. Her reputation was too strong. In the weeks that followed, something unexpected happened. Other ships came, not to take but to ask. Refugees from war-torn colonies, scientists seeking clean water, children with coughs from poisoned air. Luna welcomed them all. She showed them how to listen to the land, how to plant seeds that healed, how to live without taking more than they needed. Kai became a bridge between worlds. He taught the newcomers how to build shelters, how to defend without hatred. Rhea turned her garden into a school, teaching children to grow food and care for animals. Ember and Frost became legends, tiny dragons who guarded the innocent and cooled fevers with their breath. Luna watched it all with quiet joy. But she also felt the change in herself. The tree was strong now, but her magic was fading. Elves were tied to their world's heart. With no home left but this new one, her strength was being shared, given away like water to thirsty roots. Kai noticed. She moved slower. Her hair lost some of its shine. Her songs grew softer. One night he found her beneath the tree, leaning against its trunk, eyes closed. You're tired, he said. I'm giving, she whispered, and that is good. But you can't give everything, he said, kneeling beside her. You'll disappear. She opened her eyes and looked at him. Maybe, but look what grows in my place, he followed her gaze. Around them the settlement thrived. Lights glowed in windows. Laughter floated on the breeze. Children chased fireflies near the stream. You taught them how to live, he said. You taught them how to hope, she replied. He took her hand. It was cool but steady. Stay with me, he said. Not as a princess. Not as a legend, just Luna, she smiled. I would like that. The next morning, Luna made a choice. She placed her hands on the tree and sang her final song, not of loss, but of passing. The tree absorbed her magic, her memories, her love, and in return, it gave her something new, a human lifespan. She would age. She would feel time like Kai did. She would live one life fully instead of many lives in fragments. Ember and Frost nuzzled her, sensing the change. They did not mourn. They understood. Balance was not about staying the same, it was about changing together. Years passed, the tree became a forest. The settlement became a town. Kai and Luna built a home near the original sapling, now a mighty trunk wide enough for 3 people to hug. They had no children of their own, but they raised many. Orphans of war, lost souls, dreamers with nowhere to go. Ember and Frost never aged. They still glowed and breathed mist, still curled on the porch at sunset. But now children climbed on their backs and elders told stories of the day dragons saved the world not with fire, but with kindness. Kai's hair turned gray. Luna's steps slowed. But their hands still found each other every evening. As they watched the stars return in full force, brighter than ever, as if the universe was smiling. One night as they sat beneath the silver leaves, Luna leaned her head on Kai's shoulder. Was it worth it? He asked softly. Giving up forever for this? She looked at the town, at the lights, at the children sleeping safely in their beds. One look, she said. One moment. One change, he smiled. And you stole my heart. No, she whispered. You gave it. And in that quiet truth, under a sky full of stars, they found the only kind of forever that mattered. Years had turned to decades, and Viridia had become more than a refuge. It had become a beacon. Ships from distant systems now came not with weapons but with open hands. They brought seeds from dead worlds, stories from broken homes, and hearts hungry for peace. The silver forest spread across the valley, its roots weaving through the land like veins of light, healing soil, purifying rivers, and whispering calm into the wind. Luna and Kai were older now. Their hair was silver like the tree's bark. Their steps slower, but their eyes still held the same quiet fire. They lived in a small house built from living wood, its walls warm in winter and cool in summer. Ember and Frost still slept on the porch, though they spent more time curled beside children or guiding lost travelers through the forest with gentle puffs of flame and mist. But change, even in peace, is constant. One morning, a strange ship appeared in the sky. Not syndicate, not human, not elven. It was smooth and pearlescent, shaped like a teardrop, and it made no sound as it landed gently in the meadow beyond the tree line. No weapons, no soldiers, just a single figure stepping out. She was tall with skin like polished bronze and eyes that shifted color like the sea. Her hair floated slightly as if underwater. She wore no armor, only a robe woven from starlight threads, and around her neck hung a pendant that pulsed with the same rhythm as Luna's old seed. Luna knew her instantly. Lyra, she whispered. Kai stood beside her, hand on her shoulder. Who is she, my cousin? Luna said, voice trembling. I thought she was gone. Lyra walked toward them, barefoot on the grass. When she reached Luna, she did not speak. She simply opened her arms, and the two elves held each other for the first time in over a century. Later, by the fire, Lyra told her story. She had not died in the plague. She had fled, deep into the void, beyond known space, where she found a dying world much like their own. There, she planted her own seed. It grew but slowly and alone. She had no dragons, no companion, no song to share. For years she tended it in silence until one day the tree bloomed, and in its light, she saw Viridia. She saw Luna. She saw hope. I came to ask for help, Lyra said. My world lives, but it is fragile. It needs more than one voice. It needs a chorus. Luna looked at Kai. He nodded without hesitation. We will go, Luna said. But Ember and Frost stepped forward, tails raised, eyes bright. They chirped in unison, a sound they only made when something was deeply important. They want to come too, Kai said, surprised. Lyra smiled. Dragons are rare, but twin-born guardians, they are legends. My world has never known their kind. Preparations began. The people of Viridia did not beg them to stay. They understood. Healing was not meant to be hoarded. It was meant to spread. Rhea, now gray-haired but sharp as ever, packed supplies. The children wove crowns of silver leaves for Luna and Lyra. Elders sang songs of safe passage. And on the day of departure, the whole town gathered to say goodbye. The pearlescent ship, named the Dawn Whisper, lifted silently into the sky. Luna, Kai, Lyra, Ember, and Frost stood at the viewport, watching Viridia shrink below, now green and whole, humming with life. The journey took weeks. They passed through nebulae that glowed like dreams, past derelict stations where ghosts of old wars slept, and through asteroid fields that parted gently as if sensing the dragons aboard. Finally, they arrived. Lyra's world was called Alaris. It was beautiful but wounded. Mountains stood like broken bones, rivers ran thin and gray, and in the center of a vast plain stood a single silver tree, smaller than Viridia's, its light flickering like a tired heartbeat. As soon as they landed, Ember and Frost leapt down. Ember pressed his warm body against the tree's trunk, sharing his inner fire. Frost circled it, breathing cool mist that settled into the soil like morning dew. The tree's glow steadied. Luna placed her hands on the bark and sang, not the old songs of loss, but new ones, of connection, of shared roots, of many hands tending one light. Lyra joined her, their voices weaving together like vines. Kai watched, arms crossed, heart full. He had once been a man who took to survive. Now he was a man who gave to live. Days turned into weeks. Luna and Lyra worked side by side, teaching the few scattered survivors of Alaris how to listen to the land. Kai helped rebuild shelters, dig wells, and set up defenses, not against people but against the wild storms that still swept the plains. Ember and Frost became healers. They visited the sick, their breath easing fevers and mending wounds. Children followed them like shadows, laughing as Ember lit campfires with a sneeze and Frost made snowflakes in summer. But not all welcomed the change. Deep in the northern wastes, a group of scavengers had made their home in the ruins of an old war factory. They called themselves the Ashborn. They believed strength came from fire and fear, not from trees and songs. Their leader, a man named Torvin, had heard rumors of the Light Witches and their beast pets. He saw not healing but weakness, not hope but prey. One night they attacked. Torvin and his raiders came on hoverbikes, weapons blazing. They tore through the outer fields, burning young saplings, poisoning wells, shouting that magic was a lie. Kai met them at the edge of the forest, rifle in hand, but Luna stopped him. "No more guns," she said. "They'll kill us," he argued. "Then let them see what we are," she replied. She walked out alone, Lyra beside her. Ember and Frost followed, wings spread. Torvin laughed. "Look, the Fairy Queen and her pets." He raised his plasma cannon. But before he could fire, the ground trembled. The silver tree on the plain pulsed, and from the earth, roots erupted, not to attack but to rise like walls shielding the village. Vines wrapped around the hoverbikes, not crushing them but grounding them gently. Ember stepped forward and roared, not a sound of rage, but of warning. Golden fire swirled around him, lighting the night without burning a single blade of grass. Frost exhaled and a ring of ice spread outward, freezing weapons in place, not to harm but to still. Torvin stared, stunned. What are you? "We are gardeners," Luna said. "And this world is not yours to burn." Torvin's men lowered their weapons. One by one they looked at their hands, stained with soot and blood, and then at the glowing tree, at the children watching from behind the roots, at the dragons who showed power without cruelty. Torvin dropped his cannon. It clattered on the frozen ground. "I've spent my life taking," he said, voice rough, "because I thought nothing would ever give to me." Luna walked to him. "Then let this be your first gift." She placed a small seed in his palm. It glowed softly. "Plant it," she said. "Water it with your hands, not your tears, and watch what grows." Torvin wept. In the months that followed, the Ashborn became tenders. They cleared rubble, planted forests, and learned to sing with the wind. Torvin built a school where warriors once trained and taught children how to mend instead of break. Luna and Kai knew it was time to return to Viridia. Their work here was done. But before they left, Lyra gave Luna a gift, a branch from the Alaris tree, grafted with Viridia's own. "So our worlds remember each other," she said. On the Dawn Whisper's final morning, the people of Alaris gathered. They did not say goodbye with sadness, but with gratitude. They knew healing was not an end. It was a circle. Back on Viridia, the town had grown even more. New faces, new voices, new songs. But the heart remained the same. The original tree stood tall, its branches wide enough to shelter 100 souls. Luna and Kai returned to their home. Ember and Frost raced ahead, greeted by children who had missed them dearly. That night, as stars filled the sky, Luna and Kai sat on their porch, hands clasped. "We didn't save the galaxy," Kai said softly. "No," Luna agreed. "We just helped it remember how to heal itself." And in that truth, simple and deep, they found peace. The dragons curled at their feet, warm and cool, fire and ice together and far away, on two worlds now linked by light. Trees sang in the wind, quiet, strong, and full of tomorrow. Seasons turned on Viridia and the twin forests, born from one seed now grown across two worlds, breathed in rhythm. News traveled faster than ships now. Stories of the elf woman, the human captain, and their dragon guardians spread through trade routes and quiet comms channels, not as legends but as proof. Kindness could be strong, peace could be defended, and magic was not lost, it was just waiting to be remembered. Luna and Kai were older still. Their bones ached in the cold and their steps were slow, but their hearts beat steady. They spent their days teaching, not with lectures, but with presence. Children sat with them under the silver leaves, learning how to listen to the wind, how to tell when soil was thirsty, how to speak without shouting. Ember and Frost had grown in spirit, if not in size. They no longer needed to roar or freeze to be respected. A glance from Ember could calm a frightened animal. A soft puff from frost could soothe a fevered brow. They were elders now, in their own quiet way. But the universe, even in peace, never sleeps. One evening, as the twin moons rose, a signal pulsed through Viridia's comms array. Not a distress call, not a threat, but a song. It was faint, ancient, and achingly familiar. Luna froze where she stood. Her hands trembled. "That's our homeworld's frequency," she whispered. Kai turned from the fire. "I thought it was gone." "So did I," she said. "But someone is singing back." The signal came from the core systems deep in the heart of the galaxy, where the old elven empire once ruled among the rings of gas giants. No ship had returned there in centuries. The plague of silence had devoured everything, or so they believed. Lyra arrived 2 days later aboard the Dawn Whisper. Her eyes were wide with wonder. "I heard it too," she said. "The song is weak but real. Someone survived. Or something woke up. A council was called beneath the great tree." Rhea, now bent with age but sharp as ever, argued caution. Torvin, once a raider, now a teacher of peace, urged action. "If there's even a chance," he said, "we owe it to them." Kai looked at Luna. "You want to go?" "I have to," she said. "It's my home." "Then I go with you," he said simply. They prepared quickly. This time they would not travel alone. Lyra would pilot the Dawn Whisper. Torvin brought a small team of healers and builders. Ember and Frost, of course, refused to be left behind. They curled in the ship's cabin before the engines even warmed. The journey was long. They passed through regions of space that had not seen light in generations. Derelict stations floated like skeletons. Dead moons hung in silence. But as they neared the core, something changed. The stars seemed brighter. The void felt less empty. Then they saw it. Their homeworld, Eloria, was not dead. It was sleeping. The great silver forests were gone, replaced by gray plains and cracked earth. But in the center of the capital crater where the royal grove once stood, a single sapling glowed, small, fragile, but alive. And around it figures moved, elves but changed. Their skin was pale as bone, their eyes dim. They moved slowly like ghosts tending a dream. As the Dawn Whisper landed, Luna stepped out first. Her breath caught. These were her people. Those who had hidden in deep caves during the plague, surviving on memory and hope. They had waited, and now they had heard her song. An old elf woman approached, leaning on a staff of petrified wood. Her name was Malus, once Luna's tutor, now the last keeper of the flame. "You came back," Malus said, voice like dry leaves. "I never stopped trying," Luna replied. The reunion was quiet, not loud with joy, but deep with relief. The survivors had kept the old ways alive in whispers. They had sung to the empty sky every night, hoping someone would hear. But Aelia was broken. The plague had not just killed life, it had poisoned time itself. Plants grew backward. Rivers flowed uphill only to vanish. The sun rose in the west some days. The world was out of balance. "The Heartstone is cracked," Malus explained. "It lies beneath the grove. Without it whole, Aelia cannot wake." Luna knew the Heartstone. It was the source of all elven magic, a crystal grown from the first star that ever shone on their world. If it was damaged, no song, no seed, no dragon's breath could heal the land. "Can it be fixed?" Kai asked. "Only by one who carries both old magic and new life," Malus said, looking at Luna. "You gave up your immortality for love. That makes you something new. Maybe. Enough." The path to the Heartstone lay deep underground, through tunnels carved by ancient roots. The air grew colder the deeper they went. Ember glowed brighter, lighting the way. Frost walked beside Luna, his breath keeping the walls from crumbling. At last they reached the chamber. The Heartstone sat on a pedestal of black rock. Once it had pulsed with golden light. Now it was dull, split down the middle by a jagged crack. Dark mist seeped from the break, the same silence that had killed the world. Luna approached. She placed her hands on the stone. It was cold. Dead. She began to sing. Not the songs of old, but the songs she had learned on Viridia and Alaris. The songs of human laughter, of children planting seeds, of enemies becoming friends. She sang of Kai's quiet courage, of Ember's warmth, of Frost's calm. She sang of balance, not perfection. The stone did not respond. Tears fell from her eyes. "It's too late," she whispered. But then Ember stepped forward. He pressed his forehead to the stone and exhaled a stream of golden fire. Not hot, but full of life. Frost followed. breathing a ring of pure ice around the base. The fire and ice met, and where they touched, light sparked. Kai placed his hand on Luna's shoulder. "You're not alone." Lyra joined them, adding her voice to the song. Torvin knelt and placed a seed from Viridia on the stone. The survivors of Aelia gathered, singing the old songs beneath the new, and slowly the heartstone began to glow. The crack did not vanish, but it filled with light. Not the old light, but a new kind. Stronger, kinder. The ground trembled. Above, the sky shifted. The sun rose in the east for the first time in a century. Rain fell. Clean, sweet rain. Eloria was waking. In the weeks that followed, Luna and her companions helped rebuild. They planted seeds from Viridia and Alaris in the gray soil. Ember and Frost worked tirelessly, warming the earth by day, cooling it by night. Kai taught the survivors how to build with what they had, not what they lost. But Luna knew her time here was short. She was human now in body and years. She would not live to see Aelia bloom again. On their last night, she stood with Kai on a hill overlooking the grove. The sapling had grown 3 feet tall. Its leaves shimmered with the colors of both Viridia and Alaris. "We did it," Kai said. "We started it," she corrected gently. "They will finish it." He took her hand. "I'd follow you to any world, Luna. Even the end of one." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Then let's go home." They returned to Viridia not as heroes, but as elders. The town welcomed them with quiet joy. Children ran to Ember and Frost, who were now slower, their glows softer but still full of love. Years passed. Luna's hair turned white. Kai's hands shook. But every evening they sat beneath the great tree watching the stars. One spring morning, Luna did not wake. Kai held her hand as the sun rose. Ember lay on her chest, sharing his warmth until the last breath. Frost rested his head on her pillow, his mist forming a single silver flower in the air before fading. The town mourned, but not in darkness. They sang her songs. They planted a new sapling beside the house. And they told stories, not of a princess, but of a woman who chose to love, to give, to change. Kai lived 1 more year. He spent it teaching, laughing, watching the children grow. When his time came, he sat beneath the tree, Ember and Frost at his sides, and closed his eyes with a smile. The dragons did not die. They could not. But they grew quiet. They spent their days walking the forests of Viridia, Ilaris and Aelia, visiting the trees, watching over the peace their friends had built. Centuries later, travelers still speak of them. 2 small dragons, one red, one blue, seen near healing springs or under silver leaves. Some say they guard the graves of Luna and Kai. Others say they guard the future. And in every world that sings at dawn, in every child who plants a seed with hope, their story lives, not as myth, but as truth. One look. One moment. One change, and the universe grew kinder. Long after Luna and Kai were gone, their story did not fade. It grew, like roots through soil, like light through leaves. On Viridia, Alaris, and Aelia, children learned their names not as legends, but as teachers. What would Luna do became a quiet question before hard choices. Remember, Kai's hands meant to build, not break. Ember and Frost remained. They did not age, but they changed. Their scales grew softer, their eyes deeper. They no longer needed to roar or freeze to be heard. A flick of Ember's tail could spark courage in a fearful heart. A sigh from Frost could calm a storm in a child's mind. They moved between the 3 worlds now, not as pets, but as keepers of balance. But the universe is vast, and silence always seeks to return. On the far edge of known space, beyond the trade lanes and forgotten colonies, a new darkness stirred. It did not come with warships or weapons. It came quietly, like a sickness in the stars. Ships that flew too close to certain sectors vanished, not destroyed, but emptied. Crews were found alive but hollow, eyes wide, mouths open in silent screams. No wounds, no scars. Just gone inside. Scientists called it the hush. Others called it the end of song. At first, the 3 worlds ignored it. They were healing, growing, learning to live without fear. But then, a ship from a small mining colony near the rim limped into Viridia's port. Its crew was silent, not dead, just empty. They stared at the silver tree but did not see it. They drank clean water but felt no thirst. They were alive, yet unmade. Ria's granddaughter, a young botanist named Naya, was the first to notice something worse. The silver tree's leaves began to droop. Its light dimmed at odd hours. Frost curled around its trunk, breathing cool mist. But the tree shivered as if cold. Ember growled, a sound no one had heard in decades. That night, the dragons left. They did not say goodbye. They simply rose into the sky at dawn, wings catching the first light, and flew toward the edge of the star maps. The people of Viridia watched them go, hearts heavy but trusting. If Ember and Frost went, it meant the hush was real, and if it was real, it had to be faced. Weeks passed. No word came. Then, a signal, faint, broken, but clear. It came not from a ship, but from a dead moon in the silent zone. The message was simple. Come. Bring song. Nia, now the keeper of Viridia's records, gathered a small team. She was young but wise beyond her years, raised on stories of balance and courage. With her went Torvin's son, Joran, a builder who carried his father's hammer and heart. And Lyra, older but still strong, came too, her eyes sharp with worry. They took the dawn whisper, now guided by a new pilot but still humming with the same gentle light. As they neared the silent zone, the stars seemed to dim. Comms crackled with static that felt wrong. Not noise, but absence. The ship's lights flickered. Even the air grew thin as if the void itself was holding its breath. On the dead moon they found Ember and Frost. The dragons stood on a flat plain of gray rock, facing a deep crater. Around them the ground was marked, not with fire or ice, but with symbols. Ancient elven runes drawn in ash and frost. They formed a circle, and in its center pulsed a weak, sickly light. Ember turned as the ship landed. His glow was dimmer than before. Frost's breath left no mist. "What is it?" Naya asked, stepping forward. Frost nudged something with his snout. It was a shard, black, jagged, humming with wrongness. It felt cold, but not like ice. It felt like forgetting. "This is the source," Lyra whispered. "Not a weapon, a wound." They learned the truth over the next few days. The hush was not an enemy. It was a scar, a tear in the fabric of song itself. Long ago, during the fall of the old empires, a great experiment had gone wrong. Scientists tried to silence pain, to erase sorrow from the mind. They built a device to cut emotion from the soul. It broke. And the broken piece drifted into the void, growing, feeding on silence, turning living minds into empty shells. It had no will, no hate. It simply was. And it was spreading. "We can't destroy it," Joran said, studying the shard. "It's not matter. It's absence." "Then we must fill it," Nia said. How, they did not know. But Ember and Frost led them to the crater's edge. Below, in the dark, the shard pulsed like a dying heart. That night, Nia sat with the dragons. She remembered Luna's words, passed down through generations. Magic is not power. It is listening. So she listened, not with her ears, but with her whole self. She thought of her grandmother Ria planting the first garden, of Kai teaching children to build with kindness, of Luna singing to a dead world and making it live again. And she began to hum. Not a full song. Just a thread of melody, simple, human, full of feeling. Ember leaned close and added his warmth, a low, rumbling purr that vibrated through the rock. Frost exhaled, not cold but clarity, a breath that carried memory, not frost. Lyra joined, singing an old elven lullaby. Joran tapped his hammer on stone, not to break but to mark time, steady, strong, alive. The shard trembled, light seeped into its cracks, not golden, not silver, but many colors. The colors of laughter, of tears, of hands holding in the dark. The hush did not scream. It sighed. And then it unraveled. Like smoke and wind, the darkness lifted. The stars returned to their full brightness. Far away, on 100 silent ships, crews blinked. and remembered who they were. The shard crumbled into dust. Where it fell, a single green shoot pushed through the gray rock. They named it the first note. Back on Viridia, the silver tree bloomed again. Its light was stronger than ever, now woven with the echoes of human song, elven memory, and dragon breath. Ember and Frost returned to their quiet walks, but something had shifted in them too. They no longer just guarded peace. They carried it. Wherever they went, silence broke. Wherever they rested, life returned. Years later, Naya stood beneath the great tree, now a leader of her people. Children gathered at her feet, eager for stories. "Tell us about the dragons," one asked. Naya smiled. "They are not just dragons. They are reminders. That even in the deepest quiet, a song can begin. That one heart, one voice, one choice can change everything." And high above, circling in the twilight, Ember glowed like a setting sun, and Frost shimmered like the first star. They did not speak. They did not need to. Their presence was the song, and the universe at last was learning to sing again.